Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to join you in celebrating the birth of this new institute. They dragged me in from retirement. So these days I spend my time playing music. Actually, one evening last week, I was on this very stage playing my clarinet with a local symphony orchestra. I wasn't in front, I was sitting way back there. Fantastic acoustic environment, completely wasted on speech, in my opinion. We should be having music here. I do a little bit of watercolor painting and kind of sketching and figure drawing and cycling and sailing my little sailboat and traveling. It might surprise you to hear that this morning I woke up on Waiheke Island, and tomorrow evening I'm going to bed in Nelson. So still do a bit of traveling. It's a great life when you have time to enjoy it. My message really is, it's not about the technology, it's about the people here. The people are the most important. Ko te tangata, the university motto, for the people. So that's the most important thing for me. The story started for me 30 years ago, almost exactly 30 years ago, in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, where I was professor and head of computer science. And my family and I got on a plane to this kind of mysterious place. I think actually we went the other way around, to be truthful, but anyway, it's just diagrammatic. And once we go to this kind of weird little island, no one had ever heard of, the bottom of the world, we had a difficult decision to make. I'd been offered identical professorial positions at the University of Auckland and the University of Waikato, and we chose Waikato, and the people at Auckland have never spoken to me since. And when we got here, lovely place to arrive, I was amazed to discover that it was the home of AI 30 years ago, right here in Hamilton. And then it turned out a few days later that artificial insemination was not my kind of AI. So we got to work anyway. Now we're all talking about, so surprising as it may seem, I know this is pretty astonishing, but we really are well known internationally. Not very well known back here in New Zealand, but our group is really well known internationally. So of course everyone talks about Weka. So Weka was downloaded 12.5 million times over the 21-year period from 2021. If you work that out, that's just over once a minute. Continuously, 24/7, 52 weeks a year, 21 years. And in fact, it's accelerated a bit. So, last year it was downloaded almost twice a minute. So since I've started talking, 2 or 3 people around the world have in fact downloaded Weka. It's absolutely amazing. And what's made this possible was that we released it, actually the date was 1997, actually as open source software. Pretty unusual and controversial decision at the time. Open source software was not really very well known. Anyway, we did that. We thought, hey, this is like a gift, or a gift to the people of the world. Ko te tangata, isn't this wonderful? And when the news filled it up through the university hierarchy, I was called into the headmaster's office, not this particular headmaster, and asked to explain myself. So I kind of explained about open source software. I said, hey, there's people using this stuff, it's really cool. And he said, wait a minute, he said, you're giving this away for free? I said, yeah, that's right, yeah, it's cool, isn't it? People download it. And he said, hold on now, you better stop this. The university should be making money out of this. And I had to explain that it's open source software is kind of like a baby, Once it's out there, you really can't put it back. And funnily enough, I had pretty much the same conversation with some friends outside of the university. They said, Ian, you're giving this stuff away? People are using it? I said, yeah, that's right, cool, And I said, why don't you take it outside of the university, sell it, make a bit of money for your retirement? Well, that was like 25 years ago, and I am retired now. And that's why when I go out for dinner, I have pie and chips and beer instead of having, caviar and smoked salmon and champagne. Didn't make any money for the retirement, but it was a lot of fun. So the most important, thing is the people. Our reputation started spreading a little bit early on as far as Europe, and Iba, this character, arrived at my doorstep one day out of the blue. Actually, he didn't arrive at my doorstep. I was actually playing jazz in a club the night I first met Iba, and he arrived in the audience, and we met on the stage as I was playing a solo. True. Anyway, his supervisor heard about us, and Iba came as a PhD student. I've had a lot of PhD students, and we've had a lot of fun together. It's been just a great life supervising PhD students. So Iba and I climbed mountains in Canada, not this particular mountain. We survived shipwrecks, not this particular shipwreck. But most importantly, from the point of view of the present evening, is we wrote a book on data mining, which did pretty well. It's in its 4th edition. I know these sales figures, from the point of view of J.K. Rowling, this is not really very impressive. But for a really boring textbook in computer science, it's pretty amazing, actually. And Tom was already kind enough to mention these citations. I only counted 65,000. He must have looked more recently at me, and there's 70,000 citations. This is a kind of academic bean counting. This is kind of how we measure our worth, our influence. I don't really subscribe to this. I don't really like it. But anyway, people think citations are really important, and we've got a lot of them. This is, in fact, stratospheric, this number of citations. And Iba and I shot to the top of the charts in New Zealand as the most highly cited computer scientists. And in fact, I read the other day that we're amongst the 100,000 most influential scientists of all stripes and color worldwide. I don't know if that's good or not, but there you go. In this institute, we have 4 of the 7 top computer scientists in New Zealand, according to the citation metric. Influence, if you like. One of whom is this character, Bernhard Fahringer. I met Bernhard on Lake Tahoe in California. He's from Vienna, and I played music a little bit with his supervisor in Vienna, and I kind of heard that Bernhard was winning prizes in international competitions for data mining. Now, we had this software, and we'd like research, and we weren't really very good at actual data mining, I have to confess. And the idea of getting someone to come here who could really do the thing, mine data, and win competitions was very attractive. I tracked him down a couple of years later in the early hours of one morning in a sleazy underground jazz bar, not this particular jazz bar, in Vienna, and managed to persuade him to come to Waikato. Can you imagine trying to persuade someone to move from Vienna to Hamilton? It's kind of a bit of a joke. Anyway, he came, and he's been with us ever since and made the most wonderful contributions. We've done some courses more recently, free online courses. Everything's free for me on machine learning. They're put out by this consortium of universities worldwide, FutureLearn, which is started in the UK, run from the UK, out of the Open University. We got 3 courses: data mining with Weka, more data mining, and advanced data mining, and pretty imaginative titles, I know. And quite a lot of people have done these courses. They've been running for 3 years, and 60,000 people, 60,000 international people, plus a small straggling of New Zealanders have enrolled in these courses. The top countries for enrollees are India, Britain, the States, Brazil, China. I was just reading this list actually when I wrote it. I thought, oh my God, these are the top COVID countries, right? Isn't that awful? I don't think there's any connection here. So what does it mean? It's a free course. Someone clicks and says, I want to enroll in this. Maybe they do nothing more. Maybe they learn a lot. Maybe they actually get to the end of the course. It's really hard to say what weight to give these numbers, but it's all about the people. So here's Ashwini Baga from Jaipur, Rajasthan in India. Jaipur is a beautiful pink city. If you've never been to Jaipur, you must go. I don't go right now, but and he's a working professional in the field of road safety. People get the chance to introduce themselves when they join the course. This is just like a couple of weeks ago that he joined us. And what's interesting is, so these courses are really for users of data mining, not for people doing research in data mining or people developing new algorithms. People want to use data mining in whatever they do. And it's interesting to look at not just the countries that people come from, but the areas that they say they want to use data mining in. You know, look at all these countries: Ghana, Brazil, Malaysia, Pakistan, Tanzania, Nigeria, Peru. And areas like, agriculture, engineering, biochemistry, fraud detection, genomics, animal science. It's really remarkable, the variety of people and where they come from. I did slightly select, this just over the last few weeks, I selected this list to stress the developing country aspect. I'm very keen on technology in developing countries. And so I'm really pleased to see all these developing countries. So, for example, at the end of the course, Matthias, who happened to be from Portugal, said, "I really enjoyed this course and look forward to taking the next, thanks to Mr. Witten and the rest of the team from Waikato University for these amazing courses, and for WECA." We've exported a few people. Craig was my PhD student. He came from the University of Canterbury, did his PhD, brilliant stuff. And when he finished, he got a postdoc at Stanford. You might not know this, but Stanford is like Stanford, California, is like Mecca for computer scientists. And they haven't heard of New Zealand, let alone Waikato, there. So for him to actually land a postdoc in this incredible place was pretty amazing. He was teaching a course, and there are a couple of people on this course you might have heard of. They were Larry Page and Sergey Brin. And they flunked out of their graduate program and instead started a company at the same time with the stupid name of Google, which is sounded completely ridiculous at the time. In fact, they attracted Craig back to Google a couple of years later. He was in New York at the time at Rutgers, and he went to Google and did great things. He developed some things that we use all the time in Google when he was there. And then he said he was leaving, he wanted to leave, and Sergey and Larry, they really wanted him to stay. They said, "Well, why are you leaving?" He said, "Well, I love Google, but I hate California. I want to live in New York." Craig has always wanted to live in New York. And, Mountain View, it's not the most interesting of places to live. So they said, "Well, tell you what, we really want to keep you in the company. Why don't you go to New York and open up the Google engineering office in New York," which Craig did. This was the first engineering office outside of the mothership in California, Silicon Valley. Over the next 7 years, he hired 2,000 engineers, became a bit of a legend in Google. The New York office, they're the people who do Google Maps, for example, and Google Docs and spreadsheets. This is a huge enterprise he started. He's now with Sidewalk Labs, another company under the Alphabet umbrella. And then the other person who's also been mentioned before is Shane, who got a degree here about the same time as Craig was graduating, went to London, co-founded this company called DeepMind, which did incredible things like develop the AlphaGo system that Tom just mentioned, and was bought out by Google for $600 million, which sounds pretty good to me. I could drop other names. I mean, this is just two out of very many students we've had. You've heard of Elon Musk. Elon didn't actually come to Waikato, but one of my graduate students worked very closely with Elon, and they used to swap tequila shots at 6 o'clock in the morning, I've been told, in a company called Neuralink, one of Elon's many ventures, and Neuralink sticks electronics into your head and stuff. It sounds awful to me, but anyway, lots and lots and lots of graduates, including Alyona, who you're about to hear from, so it might surprise you to hear that most of my PhD students have been women, despite the sort of male domination you might see in this AI institute, and perhaps in this audience as well here. I find women are kind of more organized and kind of a better idea of where they're going, actually. I love supervising women, and Alyona is a very good example. She got her PhD a while ago, and she chose the entrepreneurial route and went to a little company called Pingar in Auckland or Tauranga or somewhere like that. And then she left and founded a couple of companies, and she's going to tell us, I think, about thematic in just a minute. And then after her, we're going to hear from Jesse Reed. I didn't know Jesse so well. He was not, in fact, my student. But he got a PhD about the same time as Ali. And he chose the academic route. He's had postdocs in various European countries, and he's now in Paris as a professor at the very prestigious École Polytechnique. So that's it from me. Thank you very much for your attention. And Ali, it's over to you.